Welcome back everybody to day 9 of our 12 days of Mortal Kombat Christmas. Today we're going to be covering one of the more interesting titles to come out of the franchise, Shaolin Monks. From my perspective, this game was Midway's fresh attempt at a new action-adventure spin-off, perhaps the likes of Mythology's Sub-Zero. However, unlike Mythologies, which to me was a rather clunky experience, Shaolin Monks proved that a proper spin-off could be done with the Mortal Kombat name. But rather than talking about it here on camera, let's jump right into the review so that you all can see for yourself. Mortal Kombat Shaolin Monks was released on September 16th, 2005. Developed by Midway, it was considered a spin-off from the main series in regards to gameplay, which was that of an action-adventure beat-em-up fighting game. Naturally, the game itself was based in the same universe we know and love. However, to my knowledge, it is not situated in the actual canon of the story, and it instead seems like more of a what-if type scenario. Despite this, I can tell you now that it is undoubtedly the best spin-off game in the series, for what that's worth. The story itself takes place between the events of Mortal Kombat 1 and 2. Our game opens with the final moments of the first Mortal Kombat tournament, and we see our heroes clashing with a variety of Outworld natives. Liu Kang soon challenges Shang Tsung and seems like he will be victorious. However, before long, Goro makes his way in to deliver a pummeling to everybody in sight, allowing Shang Tsung time to open a portal and escape to Outworld, many of his associates following. At this point, the island they are on begins to collapse into the sea. Likely Shang's doing is a final gift of sorts. Raiden warns everyone to flee, and this is where you pick up. When you start off for the first time, you'll have a choice as to who you can experience the story as. I personally chose Liu Kang, but you can also use Kung Lao. In the future, if you manage to unlock them, Scorpion and Sub-Zero are also available to take through the Conquest. The game thankfully gives you a solid tutorial, which is a big help when it comes to getting used to those new controls. Essentially, buttons like square, triangle, and circle can be utilized in a variety of ways, be it melee or special abilities. Much like Mythology's Sub-Zero, this game doesn't start you off with all of your moves, however you do start off with a much better set of beginning abilities than the prior mentioned title. Playing Liu Kang, this meant I could use my long-range kick and throw fireballs. Besides special moves, there are a few combos you can unlock as well to help you move on throughout your journey. Unlocking things is usually done by either finding a special medallion in the environments you explore or by spending the EXP you'll be earning over time. EXP comes from a variety of sources such as defeating enemies, bosses, and even breaking environmental pieces. To spend it, you simply have to pause the game and you can scroll through a list of moves unique to your character, of which can be purchased and utilized. If it can't be bought, it usually has to be found. This particular adventure is going to be taking you all over Outworld, and some of the places you get to visit are really awesome because they are established in prior games. This included the Living Forest, where you actually had to feed the trees flesh in order to progress, the Dead Pool, allowing you to knock enemies into the corrosive fluid while requiring you to throw others up onto meat hooks to move forward, and even a brief stop in the Netherrealm to take on Scorpion himself. I should probably mention by now that it would appear this game was built with a heavy support for cooperational play. Not only is the whole campaign multiplayer, but there are secret puzzles and moves that can only be accessed in the presence of other players. I'm thinking that we may perhaps review this game again in the future with a companion, so we can process the co-op side of things as well. Now, finishing moves certainly exist in this game, and they come in a surprisingly wide variety of choices. Fatalities, the most common and well-known varieties, exist, and while you'll start with one, you can find secret varieties later as well. Mortalities are a new introduction that make more sense in this game's regard, and they are essentially a finishing move you can perform to clear multiple enemies at once. Brutalities also make a return, and in this game they are somewhat reminiscent of Mortal Kombat 3, in that they allow you to perform a crazy combo before destroying your opponent. Brutalities are the most expensive to save up for because they essentially allow you to kill everything around you for a short period of time, while the other finishers are more cinematic and lock you in place. You'll be able to perform these fatalities on just about any opponent, minus of course bosses and the like. To actually perform them, you'll need to defeat opponents and fill your special gauge on the top left. It can fill up to 3 extra chambers, and this is because different finishers require a different amount. I really enjoyed this feature because, quite obviously, fatalities are what makes Mortal Kombat such a unique franchise, and being able to perform them when you desired was even cooler. The only nitpick I have is that they can get a little redundant if you're performing them consistently while only having a few unlocked. Something I did appreciate, however, was that when defeating a boss character, you would get to perform a fatality on them as well. Boss fatalities are all unique and usually involve the situation or environment you're in to put an end to your victim. This is really where you begin to realize why the story is not canon, however. So many important characters die way earlier than expected, such as Jade, Reptile, and Scorpion. Though I give the devs a lot of credit for Scorpion's death, it had me laughing with that Terminator reference. Fatalities can actually be performed on you as well should you fail a boss battle, and trust me, they can be just as gruesome as you've been dishing out. That said, make sure you utilize one of the many save altars found around the world. Not only will it log your progress, but it will replenish your health to full. If all of that carnage wasn't enough for you, then you'll be happy to know that nearly every location in this game has some sort of death trap or environmental hazard. It's wise that you get used to spotting and engaging with them because they can not only help you put down enemies quickly, but occasionally it's a requirement to progress forward from where you are. This is awesome though because it's a clever way of combining puzzle and problem solving with the grim realities of Mortal Kombat. This game has a map, which is a welcome addition compared to Fatalities. As part platforming game, you can guarantee that you'll be moving all over the space within a stage, and being able to pull out a map to reorient yourself and your goal is a very helpful feature. If platforming isn't your thing, you probably might not want to consider this game, as you'll be doing a lot of it. I'd say that is the gist of Conquest Mode though. It's a solid action platforming experience that can be enjoyed alone or with a friend. Thanks to having multiple characters to choose from, you also have the replayability factor that can give you hours of extra play. There's a solid, if not slightly confusing hub to get you between worlds, plenty of bosses to face off with and challenge, smooth combat well adjusted for the beat 'em up action, and even secret missions and fights. For example, you can find Smoke who will employ you with different quests that will help you come across secrets and other loot. One of the secret boss fights I found was with Kano. Before heading out into Shao Kahn's arena for the final battle, I instead talked to Katana in the jail, and this caused guards to come running, opening an otherwise sealed door. Inside, I was able to free Sonya Blade and Kano, with the help of Jax, but naturally, Kano wasn't happy with his life and wanted Sonya's as well. This results in you and Jax teaching him a lesson that he won't likely be forgetting anytime soon.
Fatality.
I also wanted to mention that I think this is the first game to actually depict Shao Kahn without his mask. At about midway during your fight with him towards the conclusion, he throws a hammer at you, of which you nimbly toss back, smashing his mask and revealing his face. From the looks of it, he's supposed to be based off the bare-faced Shao Kahn depicted in the Mortal Kombat 2 comics, but that's just my guess. Either way, it was really cool seeing this for the first time, as I had never actually beaten Shaolin Monks before doing so for this review. Believe it or not, there are 2 other notable modes you can access outside of story mode, those being Versus and Mortal Kombat 2. Versus mode is a nod to the classic fighting style in Mortal Kombat where 2 players face off to the death. The roster here is actually a little bit bigger than you can choose for story mode, which is bittersweet in its own way. Obviously, I don't have them all myself, but the extra characters you can get are Kitana, Baraka, Reptile, and Johnny Cage. The Mortal Kombat 2 mode is really awesome, and it's just an emulation of the classic game for you to play on your copy of Shaolin Monks. For those who didn't have a copy, or even perhaps a chance to play prior, this was the perfect opportunity. All that said, I'd say it's time to wrap up this review. Shaolin Monks is a game that proves that spin-offs can be done properly, especially so with the Mortal Kombat name. When compared to, say, Mythology Sub-Zero or Special Forces, this game is a shining achievement in the series. It shows us that all of the brutality found within the world of Mortal Kombat can still be present in a genre of game that isn't traditional to what we know. Sure, it's not a canon story, but that's alright when it doesn't stop it from being a fun game. As such, I gladly give this title an 8 out of 10.
Get over here! Impressive.
If you're someone who can enjoy a unique experience featuring some of your favorite Mortal Kombat characters, there's a good chance you will enjoy Shaolin Monks. It's a platforming beat-em-up done extremely well, with lots of variety and ways to play through thanks to multiple characters. So long as you don't mind the unique storyline, this is a game in the franchise that deserves you to pay your respects. And thus ends day 9 of our 12 days of Mortal Kombat Christmas. After the likes of Mythology Sub-Zero, it was really refreshing to be able to sit down and play a better game the likes of Shaolin Monks. As mentioned, this was one of the games I owned growing up, but never completed, so this was the perfect opportunity to do so. Tomorrow's review, however, is a game I've spent many hours with, and unfortunately, the last game of the 6th generation consoles. But we'll talk about that when the time is right. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to reflect that either through a like or a comment down below. If you'd like to see more content like this in the future, feel free to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can find out exactly when more videos like this go live. Again, thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully I'll catch you tomorrow. And as always, remember, stay safe, stay happy.